Hello guys, welcome to my channel. Today I'll present you with a Hugo build and team guide. But before I go over his build, let's have a quick overview of what he does. Effectively, Hugo playstyle revolves around maximizing his damage output by effectively using his core skill and capitalizing on stunned enemies. A key part of his gameplay is performing chain attacks, which activate the buff that will significantly boost his critical rate and critical damage for a short duration. He will also excel in teams with characters who can stun enemies, as this will allow him to trigger his powerful totalize effect by using his X special or ultimate for very high damage. He will also gain 900 attack from his core skill if you are using 2 stun characters within the team. Also, you have the capability to charge his final shot of his basic attack sequence for increased damage. So overall, Hugo is a solid DPS, and because he does want to use double stunners, it effectively frees your support slot for other teams. Also, if you're a husband enjoyer, you can effectively play a pretty good full husband team as well. Now let's also quickly talk about his skill level up priority. It's going to be core skill into special attack / chain attack. These 3 things are very important for Hugo Vlad to maximize his burst capabilities and damage. You will also want to level up basic attack, dodge and assist as well, because his basic attack after the 4th hit will allow you to go into his quick assist or dodge counter. So ideally you would also want to level that stuff up so you can do more damage. So now let's talk about his build. We'll start with main stats first. But before I talk about his main stats, I would like to let you know that a lot of you guys who watch me are not subscribed. If you like to support this small channel, feel free to subscribe. It's completely free of charge. Smile. Now, let's continue with the video. His main stats are very straightforward. For Drive Disc 4, it's going to be critical damage. He does get critical rate from his core skill level up plus his core skill passive. That is why you can easily go with critical damage Drive Disc 4. If you're in a situation where you're still lacking critical rate, you could use critical rate Drive Disc 4, but I would highly recommend to use critical damage if you can. As for Drive Disc 5, it's either ice damage or attack percentage. Attack percentage can work, but it also depends on your V-engine options, whether they already provide a lot of attack or not. But if you want to play it safe, ice damage is alright to go. As for Drive D6, it's attack percentage. Regarding his substats, it's critical rate into critical damage into attack percentage and flat attack. As I have said, Hugo is very straightforward to build. Now let's talk about his Drive Disc set options. You have 2 good options for him. You can either go Hormone Punk or Woodpecker Electro. Woodpecker Electro is kind of going to be better for more overall consistent damage, but if you're good at swapping and know what you're doing, Hormone Punk can also be very good, and it does kind of work well with his playstyle. However, for ease of use, I would personally recommend Woodpecker Electro, but if you're willing to keep up with this buff and make sure you trigger it at the right times, then Hormone Punk is also an excellent idea. As for 2-piece options, you have Branch and Blade Song. It provides 16% critical damage. You can also use Woodpecker Electro if you're using 4-piece Hormone Punk, or vice versa. You can use Hormone Punk 2-piece if you have 4-piece of Woodpecker Electro. There is also an option to use something like Polar Metal for 10% ice damage bonus as well. But generally, with Hugo, you have at least 2 set options to go for, so that's pretty cool. And as always, if you don't have his best in slot gear, just use whatever has the best substats in the meantime with the correct main stat. Now let's go over his V-engine options. We'll first talk about his signature V-engine. It does provide 713 base attack, 24% critical rate, and also it has a passive which provides 45% critical damage. And whenever you use X special attack, chain attack, or ultimate to deal ice damage, he will gain a buff for 3 seconds, and while this buff is up, he will ignore 25% of the enemy defense when landing a hit. This V engine is pretty good and it will boost your damage further. I don't think this V engine is really needed. Even if you don't have it, you do have other options that you can go with, because the defense ignore is pretty good, but because you're playing with a double stunner, the other stunners don't really have defense shred or defense ignore, and the only synergistic defense ignore that you could kind of combine with his V engine would be his Mindscapes, which we'll talk later within this video. But now let's talk about the other options. Deep Sea Visitor. This V engine is okay. It will effectively provide you critical rate and 25% ice damage bonus. It also does provide a bit extra critical rate. However, you have to do a basic attack, and to get further critical rate, you have to do ice damage with a dash attack, so you're not necessarily gonna have 20% critical rate at all times from this V engine from the passive, but it's still a decent option that you can use over other A rank options. Then we also have good old Brimstone. Brimstone will also work relatively fine. It does provide a lot of attack, and if you are using Brimstone, I would recommend using ice damage bonus on drive disc 5. The passive will provide quite a lot of attack whenever you do basic attack, dash attacks, or dodge counters up to 8 times. So it's pretty good. It's a very good attack buff, because do remember, you're not really playing with supports that provide you attack buff. However, do know that you will get 900 attack by playing with 2 stunners, but it's an alright okay weapon. Now let's go over A rank options. This is pretty much one of the best options free to play, Mercato Desire, but there is a problem regarding this V engine. It is no longer available, so if you don't have it, you can't really get it anymore. That is unfortunate, but this V engine is excellent for him, because whenever you perform X special chain attack, you will get an attack boost, and also if the target is under an attribute anomaly, you will effectively get an additional attack boost. This is the only free-to-play V engine that provides critical rate. All other options are pretty much paid or gacha. But speaking of paid options, we do have Cannon Rotor. This is a Battle Pass V engine. It does provide 20% critical rate and a bit of attack boost. You can use this on Hugo Vlad. It works relatively fine. If you do get more copies, it will increase the attack further, but even at one copy, it's already all right. And if you have none of these options, then you have the good old reliable Starlight engine. This will provide an attack boost for 12 seconds whenever you do quick assist or dodge counter, and if you literally have nothing else, this is basically what you'll have to use. Now let's talk about Hugo Vlad team options. We'll begin with new player-friendly teams. So if you're a newer player, you effectively would want to play Hugo with something like Lycaon if you happen to have him. Otherwise, you'll pretty much have to use Ambi and Pulchra, and if you don't have these 2 stunners available, then you will have to use a support such as Nicole or Lucy. But ideally, you really want to play double stunner for your Hugo Vlad teams. Now let's talk about premium S-rank teams. One of his best in slot teams is pretty much going to be on his release, Lighter with Lycaon. So Lighter is getting a rerun within the same patch as Lycaon, so you can effectively pick them both up if you have enough saved gems. If you do not have Lycaon available, you could use Trigger over it. It should also work relatively fine. If you do not have Lighter available, you could also replace it with Trigger. However, as you already noticed, with Hugo Vlad, his stun options are relatively limited. There is an upcoming fire stunner called Yufufu. She should be okay for Hugo as well, but I don't think she's necessarily gonna be better than Lighter for Hugo, but it's something that you should be able to use, and it's very likely that Yufufu might replace Lycaon in the future as the strongest team for Hugo Vlad. Now let's have a quick section regarding Bangboos. His best in slot, I would argue it's going to be Robin. Just like with Vivian, Robin will also work with Hugo Vlad, because within Hugo Vlad team, because you only have an attack and stunner, Bangboo will only do increased damage and increased days build up. So he will help you at stunning enemies faster, and that's about it. It's all right. You can also use the good old reliable Snap. Snap is also gonna be okay. It does provide damage boost and all that stuff. If you don't have Robin or Slap, you can always use something like Penguin Bow. It's gonna be okay. But generally, I would highly recommend that you try to get Robin if you can, or use Snap. Now let's have a quick section regarding Mindscapes as well. His M1 provides more critical rate and additional critical damage for your totalize effect. In my opinion, it's whatever. The main one that you would like to go for Hugo Vlad if you want to make him stronger would be M2. His M2 effectively allows your totalize to not end the enemy stun state, so you can do way more damage and also take advantage of enemies being fully stunned. And also when totalize is triggered, that ability will now ignore 15% of the enemy defense, and this can pair up really nicely with his signature V engine for more defense ignore. As for his M4, charge shot will now provide a debuff on enemy that will ignore 12% of target ice resistance. And lastly, his M6, Unga Bunga, you'll do more damage, typical M6 stuff. But nevertheless, I don't recommend going for his Mindscape on release, but if you want to get him over time or something like that, M2 with V engine is gonna make him quite strong. I believe on his release he's gonna work perfectly fine at M0 without signature, but over time, if you want to strengthen this character, you can always go for these options. But yeah, overall with Hugo Vlad, I think he's in a pretty good spot. I know a lot of people might think little of this character because of other upcoming options, but I believe he's going to be perfectly fine within the game. And for people who want to play full husbando teams, well, now we have the option. That's pretty cool, isn't it? And yeah, I guess this is it for this video. If you have any questions or like to add anything yourself, feel free to write it within the comments down below. And of course, if you like this video, don't forget to give it a like and all that stuff, smile, and yeah, this is truly it. I wish you a wonderful day and see you in the next video. Ciao.